We have Jasper, we have Hendrik, and I trying to answer the question to the best of our ability. Okay, let's see the Q&A sessions. Okay, we have quite a few questions here, so let me start with the first one. Is it eligible if the sustainability initiative or case is still implementing but not yet completed? For example, can only see expected results or short-term results? And quite a few people asked this question. Let me try and answer. So definitely still eligible. You can definitely mention those initiatives. And as we all know, sustainability initiative takes time to implement. We fully appreciate if you've started on something that's interesting and you begin to see early signs of those initiatives and results, please do mention it. Yeah, I think that's perfectly. Anything to add, Hendrik? Ooh, let me see. So the next question. How is the ratio of essay type questions in the marking scheme? We made an attempt last year and think it's very time consuming, to be honest. Okay, and the question below also asked about the format of the actual application form. So the actual application form has a combination of sort of a checklist questions that you put a tick to, and also some short answers. And then as this question mentioned, we also have a section where it's more open-ended, where you have to write a short piece, an essay type question. The purpose is, of course, as you know, as with any checklist type of judging, we can only gather so much about what you're doing. So the checklist type of question certainly would contribute to the marks. But the recommendation is, of course, in your open-ended essay question, try to tell us, the judges and the examiner, something that the checklist cannot tell us. So if there's certain figures, specific metrics and figures that you managed to achieve with your initiative, please do put it there. If there are certain achievements that you managed to achieve, please put it there. And perhaps even explaining a little bit about the philosophy of your initiative, of your project, just to show us your intent of that initiative. Those would be my recommendation. Hendrik, anything to add? I think you said keep it succinct as well.
Yeah, no, simpler is better. Get to the point. No long. We don't look for long answers. You just be mindful that the Board of Examiners, the judging panel, has to read the submissions. So if you get to the point quickly with your submission, that's most welcome.
Jasper, any advice?
I actually went through once again the whole submission, and I think a point form should be good enough. I mean, last year we did it, and we made it. So I think there really doesn't need to be very lengthy answers or elaborating one single point in all different answers or in different fields. I think better to plan ahead for example, one of the initiatives, whether you put it in this part or that part, rather than to say tell the same story for several times in the same application.
Okay, so in summary, we should not use the word essay. Essay seems like you have to write a long piece, so even point form is okay. Okay. Next question. For organization award, is it necessary to be nominated in order to apply? The answer is no. You just have to fill in the entry form yourself to enter. There was a slight mistake in the PowerPoint where the word nominated is used, and it will be corrected But nomination is only applies to individual award. Next, when will we receive the application form and what format is it in, Q&A or open-ended? Any reference can share with us. So as long as you submitted the entry form, you'll be given a username and a password, and then you have full access to the whole application form. And the application form, as we alluded to earlier, has a checklist type of question where you answer yes, no, or select things and give very short answer. But there are also sections that you actually have to write a longer piece, not essay, even point form is okay. But that's where you can try to elaborate more than the checklist. Next, will the recording and slide of this seminar be posted? Yes, the PowerPoint and the recording will be sent to anyone that was registered for this seminar, and will also be available on HKMA website. Next, is there any consideration for organizations or individual whom has won the award in the past to apply again in 2022? I presume you're referring to the people that have applied in the past can apply again. And that's why we put in one of the rules is that one should only cite substantially new cases in the past 2 years. So it's going to be a little bit of a headache for examiners to make sure that this is a past entry. And when we read it, we have to make sure we figure out that that is actually substantially different from the past entry. But the fact that it's the award is now every year, so there's a chance that the new application refer to the same initiative or results. So for people that have applied before, we would definitely need substantial work done since your last application. Okay. Comparing to the Caring Company Award, the application form is not very user-friendly for SME, whose sustainability team is lean. Any view on this? I'll try to answer first, and then maybe Hendrik and others can help. So when we were designing the questionnaire quite a few years ago, we definitely, as you know, one of the highlights of this award is that we cater for different sizes of companies. And they are competing against their own peers. So that needs to be remembered. And then we did discuss whether the questionnaire needs to be different for different size. After a long debate amongst all the examiners and judges, we decided that we keep the application form exactly the same for all categories. The main reason is we would like to use the questionnaire as a training ground, just for everyone to see if they haven't done that, if you're SME and you don't have a large team and you have not touched on every single aspect of sustainability, it's fine. You can fill in the areas that you have worked on, because we're competing against peers, which would also only be able to work on a few aspects of sustainability. But through the hope is that through looking through the application form, the organization begins to learn maybe what they can do next on their journey. But through that learning experience, we hope they can improve from year to year. So that was the intent. Yeah. Hendrik, any?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. And I think, Delman, you just outlined some of the key thinking that we've had here in terms of how do we address this issue. And I can very much appreciate, even for our organization and my colleagues spending quite a bit of time just responding and preparing the questionnaire, preparing our answers to the questions. But fundamentally, it doesn't have to be a very long answer. And I think that was just what Jasper mentioned as well. If you if you look through the questions, it does seem daunting with over 50 of them. Many of them are multiple choice. So those should be, or most of them rather. So those should be pretty easy for whoever is preparing the submission to check and respond to. It's where we have an open-ended question where perhaps there's some reservation in terms of how much information to provide, and for those, it's really the evidence that speaks for itself. We're not looking for you to invent something for this submission. This should be readily available within the organization. It's either there or it isn't. And that's, you know, hopefully that should make it easier than to compile the information. And if, as a reviewer of the submissions, when I look at them as they come in, and you know, it's very much small organizations is a different set, is a different pile than a medium, and obviously I don't even look at the large, but for the small and medium ones, I can appreciate that it is a lot of work, and it is really just for me then as a reviewer to see some sort of evidence that you're actually thinking and working and trying the best you can within the limited, you know, resources that you may have to do what's necessary to drive sustainability. I think that's sort of fundamentally where, as a reviewer, as an examiner, I would take this view to make sure that that burden isn't too high, and it doesn't need to be a lot. It's not about quantity; it's about quality. Fundamentally, that's what we're looking for. So yeah, try best you can to work through that, and just stay focused and just collect the information, the evidence from this year. I think that's really sufficient, and hopefully that won't be too burdensome for all of you to participate in the award.
Thank you, Hendrik. We have a follow-up question for Jasper. How much time did you spend to prepare all the documents? Any major difficulties you faced last year?
I think I cannot count how much time I spent on it, but then I will say that it is, I will not take it as a separate work or one only task for is to submit the application. The reason why is that, as far as I understand, the form design is very much similar to what the international indices or other stakeholders, what they are asking for. And that's why we actually do a lot of different benchmarkings or copy and pastes a lot around all different kind of indices. For example, if you are planning to, I understand that for SMEs or for sustainability teams that has less manpower, it would need some time. But then I would say that once you have those answers, then when you go for other indices or other awards, then maybe some of them can be reused. Okay, and it is also a very good time to understand what is what lacks in your organization in terms of sustainability development, because frankly speaking, we don't have a lot of we don't have like a lot of different initiatives in every aspect and in every questions to answer. We do not. Okay, so we all, by doing this exercise, we also understand more about, oh, actually this could be an improvement area that we can try to do more. Okay, and then for the most difficult part, I will say that the differences between last year and this year. I mean, the programs are usually like as you see, most of our programs are rather mega projects, or at least some kind of chemical plants being built and operate. So it will take like 5 years or so to finish one project. So it is rather challenging to review last year's submission and then find out what is new. But once again, it is a good way to push the company to go forward and keep moving in terms of sustainability development. And I also appreciate the time allowed to fill in the questionnaire, because as I could see from last year, we actually span the project to 2 months. I remember, like, starting to prepare for the submission, and then it took about 2 months. Of course, from time to time, we may need to review, or maybe we also gave 1 month's time for other departments to fill in the questionnaire, and then we use another month's time to review what they filled in. But the span is long. It's long enough to prepare necessary answers. I would take it this way.
Thank you, Jasper. Next question. Can we apply for more than one award? You don't actually need to apply for specific award. You just apply, you just enter into the whole award scheme, and the special awards or the grand awards are determined by the examiners or judges. So you could be in a special award if one of your initiatives show excellence in innovation or excellence in COVID resilience. But if you want to aim for a particular one, for example, COVID resilience, you could definitely mention it in your open answer, that this is something we did for COVID. Let me see. How many winners per category? As Delman mentioned, same application form to cater for all sizes of company. So there are, and then related as well. So the number of winners per category is not fixed. The only one that's fixed is the Grand Award. There's only one per category. And also the Sustainability Leader of the Year. There's only one person. But for all the other awards, whether it's the distinction, merit, etc., we don't actually have a specific number. That's a usual interesting one. Could you elaborate a bit more on span of control when you consider which category to participate in? So this word of span of control is to cater for companies or structures where if your company is registered in Hong Kong, therefore you enter this award, but your company in Hong Kong actually manages organization outside of Hong Kong. And then in the form, you actually need to enter the number of employees for all the employees in Hong Kong and the one outside of Hong Kong that you have management control over. So a very good example is manufacturers, such as myself, where your headquarters in Hong Kong, headcounts in Hong Kong is less than 200. But the Hong Kong management team actually manages factories in 6 countries. So when you add all those up, that particular company would be categorized as large organization. And of course, when you report on initiatives, etc., you can definitely report on initiatives outside of Hong Kong, because the company in Hong Kong is managing operations and businesses elsewhere. Okay. For Delman and Hendrik, from your past judging experience, are there elements you look forward to seeing applicants highlight to this year? Hendrik, anything we look forward to?
Just generally, what I look for when I review these submissions is that the responses are across all the elements of the questionnaire. So you know, if, for instance, if there's a company that provides, fills out the questionnaire and they really don't have much governance in place, there's not much management control, there's not much interest at the most senior level, and then there isn't any environmental management systems in place, there isn't any sort of targets set around any of the environmental components, but they have a very strong emphasis on community caring and community investments and supporting NGOs. To me, that is not balanced. That would not be sort of a company that would be in the high achieving branch. that would be sort of maybe perhaps an approach where there's a lot of philanthropic kind of activities that the organization has committed to, but overall they haven't really addressed the fundamentals of the business. It's really, I mean, that's really what it comes down to in terms of creating a business that's sustainable, creating a product that is sustainable. It is not just about basically donating some money to external organizations. It's much more fundamental about what is the business doing? Does the business understand its own impacts of the product that's being made, or the services that are being provided? Is there any effort to mitigate the impacts of those products or services? And what's fundamentally, what's the purpose of this organization, and how does it contribute positively or negatively to the community, to the economy, to the environment? And is there any sort of understanding within that? And that's what I'd be looking for. The examples are good, and that's the showcase section. But it's really in the front end of the questionnaire where we're looking for the fundamentals. Is there an understanding here that of your own impacts and how you manage those impacts, how you optimize your performance, and what systems and processes and management approach do you have in place for that? That's the meat of the submission. That's what we're primarily looking for. The showcases is sort of bonus additional awards available for that. And it's good to have, and obviously year by year those should be different ideally, but appreciate very much also that it's challenging, given some of these initiatives are over a number of years, to have a different one every year. But that's also not where we allocate the largest number of points in the scoring mechanism.
For myself, sort of two parts answer. The first part is, for myself, sort of one of the holy grail is how to embed sustainability to be part of your normal business. So whenever I see signs of that in the application, I take a keen look at that. That sustainability is not something that a separate department does and is not embedded in the business, or in fact, it actually doesn't help business to grow. So that's something I look for. And the second part is in particular to this year's entry, because most of the initiative you're reporting will be during COVID. And that's a real test on whether, how have your sustainability effort increase or decrease or rebalance during such difficult times on the business side of things. So those would be things that I look forward to see what companies have done during COVID. Let's see, let's move on. We're about 5-6 minutes. Any restriction on the nature or services of the business, sustainability related businesses have any advantage? So definitely no restriction, and it's cross-sector, as we mentioned at one of the objectives. And it goes to the point that sustainability is sort of part of everyone's life and everyone's business. So I can definitely tell you that I think 2 years ago, we actually have a lot of entries from schools and universities, from the education sector. And it's very interesting to see how they see sustainability, very different from how a manufacturer sees it, and what does the school do, because their main mission is education. How does they educate the next generation on sustainability, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't have to be, the nature of business is not no restrictions, but it's how you think of sustainability in your line of business. So that would be interesting. Question for Jasper. What elements and key factor should we highlight in the submission?
I think just now, Delman and Hendrik has mentioned a lot, and I will just like to add that when we prepared for the submission, try to stand on the panel judges' side and sit at their view. I mean, they are obviously very experienced. And so we tried to highlight those world first, regional first, or some kind of biggest projects in our submission instead of putting everything and like small programs inside, because that will obviously just be meaningless in some way.
Thank you. Next question, for organization category, can applicants mention their sustainability achievements both in and outside of Hong Kong, like what Jasper has shared? So the short answer is yes, you can share initiative and achievement outside of Hong Kong, as long as they are under your span of control, that you actually manages those businesses outside. What you should not, is not eligible if you are in Hong Kong, you report achievements in your headquarters, where you don't have control. It's actually the other way around. So yeah, okay. Example, if you are a big multinational and you are a branch in Hong Kong, you can only report things that you have control over, but not your headquarters achievements. Okay. Last year, the submission portal was not very user-friendly, mainly words. Where can we submit photos and videos? So as currently our judging criteria, we do not take videos or photos. Our judging time would go, our judges will go crazy actually, because we actually have about 100 applicants, and all the judges have to go through their fair share. So the chance of actually photos and videos is actually if you manage to get to the final judging stage, where there is a, I believe, 15-minute presentation, and there you can use videos and photos to share your achievements. Last question here. The 2022 award covers initiative in 2020 and 21. Does it mean the 2023 award will cover 21 and 22 initiatives? That's a very detailed question. I can only say tentatively, yes, it will cover the past 2 years. It really depends how this, because we just recently turned to annual submission. It's the question of overlaps. We have to make sure that the award, the applicants don't repeat the same initiative from previous awards. But tentatively, we are currently taking the last 2-year achievement initiative into account. And depending on how this year goes, we will determine for what will happen for 2023. Another one popped up. I think, yeah. The governance and management approach will not change every year. Would the judges consider there's not much new if the organization applies the award again? So I think the question is, the governance and management approach does not change every year. Would the judges consider new? So I guess if you have a solid governance and management system in place, we'll be looking for actual achievements. If you have targets that you set, whether you achieve it, if you have any new initiative in a particular area, whether there are achievements. So it's great if the governance and management system and approach it's all firm and comprehensive. We'll be then looking for actual achievements in your submission. And I think that's the last question. And we end just exactly on time, 11:15. So thank you for all your questions and comments. Feel free to contact the Secretariat if you have any questions. And do visit the award website and to see the details. And we all look forward to your application. The deadline is 29th of April for entries. And we hope all you and your colleague will take part in this award. It doesn't take too much time. And hope you'll find the participation a rewarding journey. And thank you, Jasper and Hendrik. And I end the program here. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for your participation. This concludes the briefing session. Should you have any query about the awards, please feel free to contact me or my colleague Vivian from the Secretariat team. Our contacts are now shown on the screen and also on the award website. We hope to receive your application before the 29th of April. Thank you once again.